One of the questions that people ask me, probably the second most question they ask me the most is, how did you find your doctor? How did you know that was the right doctor for you in Korea? Well, I thought I'd be really clever and I used a couple of contacts that I had and I found an incredible doctor, but it was really hard. There was a language barrier and the way that Koreans approach plastic surgery is very different to the way Australians approach it. As Australians, we take time and we take a considered approach. Plastic surgery is much more acceptable in Korea, so people make an instant decision. And contacting this particular doctor, I realised I needed to use a consultancy company. So then I explored my options for consultancy companies and I looked at about maybe 5 or 6 different consultancies before I actually found one that I felt comfortable with and one that met my needs. When I found that consultancy company, then they gave me 3 or 4 different options for surgeons and hospitals. We had a phone call, we discussed it, I sent photos, there was a lot of back and forth, I could call them at any point in time. From my wants and needs, then we made a very firm decision of who I was to choose and what hospital I wanted to go to. Some of the things that were really important to me was I needed to make sure that there was no language barrier. So I needed to make sure that not only my consultancy company had an English speaker, that the hospital had an English speaker. The second thing that was really important to me is I wanted somewhere that was used to doing people from overseas, that tended to be a bigger clinic, it wasn't a smaller clinic. And I wanted also to have someone who was incredibly experienced, someone who was renowned in Korea and someone who was used to doing non-Korean faces. They were my 3 most important things, and going without saying, health. So if anything happened, not that it did, that they would be able to look after me, so I would be safe. They were the things that for me were the most important when choosing a clinic or hospital and a doctor.